Okay, I hope you have your colors ready, your highlighter ready, whatever you're using, so that we can annotate Friday's notes. Hopefully, this won't take up too much time and you guys kind of will get the pattern and see where we're going with it. But I like to do it with you so that we can, really understand what everything, what all these symbols and things are. I like to look at Friday, and I call diagramming Frankensteining, because if you know anything about Frankenstein, he was a bunch of different parts put together, and diagrams putting all the parts together. So that's why it's also really cool to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday all together, because you need all of these things to really comprehend Friday. And so let's see here what we have. These are our same symbols that we used all week long. Okay. Like, for instance, S, that would be a subject. We use that on Tuesday. VI, that would be an intransitive verb. We use that on Tuesday. So let's just go through and highlight or annotate some of these things. I'm going to use this line tool and try to go over some of them. So every sentence must have at least a subject and a verb, every sentence. And so I'm going to do this because anytime we have a diagram, diagrams always start out like a T or a cross. So let me just go through and get the rest of my T's and crosses only on the first line. Notice that little line? I'm going to stop right there. I don't want to do more because that's my T or cross. Same thing here. I'm going to stop it when that other line there. Okay, just to get that top row. So subject, verb, subject, verb, subject, verb. First part of diagramming, every sentence starts out with this, like that way and has a subject or verb. All right, so here's our example. Let's get the markup highlighter tool. I'm going to choose a new color. All right, I'm going to go with that green there. So this is just, I don't like that color. Let me try one more. I thought it was going to be a cool green. Okay, maybe this one's better. It looks the same. Bear with me. One more. I want it just a little darker, but I want to be able to see. All right, I'm satisfied. I'm going to also make a key right here. And then this key, this is just going to tell me that whenever I am highlighting in green, that is an example of what the diagram above will be. Okay, so back to my markup. These are all examples. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Cool. Got it. So right now we have subject, verb, subject, verb, subject, verb going across the top. Now notice there's something else here. D-O, P-A. Do you guys know where we had that again? Where's D-O? We didn't use it in our example for week 1, but let's go to our notes, scroll up, or if you're have your paper notes, let's flip to Monday. At the bottom of Tuesday. At the bottom of Tuesday, our compliments, there goes that DO. There's some other stuff there. Okay. So these are compliments. Compliments, we see we're going across that top line. Let me get back to Friday. So for a direct object, if you did have one, notice how that line stops at the horizontal. It doesn't go past like how our T or cross. So subject, verb, then a direct object. So let me get my tool ready. Let's do a direct object in green. I'm going to choose a true green here. Okay. And we're going to do it just like this to show that we have a direct object. You can use whatever color you want. And I'm just going to do the same thing here for our predicate adjective because that's a complement. All right. So that's how that would go. Let's go down to the next kind of row. They're not really in a good row fashion, but Right here, INT. If we would look in our notes, we would see what that stands for. And I believe it's an interjection. INT, there it is. So back down to Friday. Notice it's separated. It's just expressing emotion, so it's not a real part of the sentence. Since I have green, I'll stick with it. Okay. And then I see that predicate nominative right there. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? We have that direct object. Okay. But what color did we do our subject verb? Red. So I'm going to go back and do right here. Subject verb. Every diagram starts with a T or a cross. Subject verb. Notice this verb has a helping verb with it. Isn't that what we kind of had this week or no? I think we did. We had, if I go back, we had a helping verb with that verb. Okay. There's our subject. So that's why we need more than one day of the week to get all these cheat codes. Okay. Now notice, like I said, with the horizontal line, there are things dangling below the horizontal. Anything that dangles is a modifier. And we didn't go through and do all of our modifiers. Let me go back up here in our notes. But you'll notice M's can be modifiers, anything like that. And if you don't have all these right now, we can get them as the year goes on. Okay? Modifiers. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to scroll like that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up outlining my modifiers. And check this one out. Sometimes a modifier can have a modifier. Okay? Modifier. Because articles are always adjectives and adjectives are modifiers. They modify a noun or a verb. I mean, a noun or a pronoun, sorry. Okay, indirect object. I skipped that one because an indirect object is a complement. But you only have an indirect object if you have a direct object. So let me stick to green because I remember I did my other complement in green. Notice that X. That is not one of our cheat codes. It's just you put an X on that line. I don't have the answer why. I don't have the answer. I'm sorry. But we put an X and then the indirect object. And actually, let me back up a couple things here. I do want to put that back in green. But we had a different kind of modifier that I want to point out, and that's a prepositional phrase. If you already did it in a different color, that's okay. You don't have to oh man, I messed up, I highlighted it. It's okay, calm down. You can still leave it whatever color you did. I just want it to stand out while I'm teaching it to you or showing you how to annotate your notes so that you know how to use your notes, because prepositional phrases, remember, if we back it up, we labeled it an adverb prepositional phrase, and adverbs can be modifiers. So since adverbs can be modifiers, it's okay if it's the same color. But I just want you to know that prepositional phrases, they always look like a little elbow, little chicken wing thing going on, and the indirect object does as well. All right, preposition looks like that. So let's get that green color again with our highlighter, and this is the example of what's above. This is the example. I'm about to do a couple little tricks here. Let's do it let me figure out a good way. Okay, that's that example. If you want, you can go ahead and get all your examples. If you want to just go through and highlight those, I'm going to do so without the talking. If you want to look up front and see what I'm doing, you can. When I get done, I will show you all what mine looks like. Right now, I'm just getting the examples. So that we don't get confused later on. I'm staying on the first page of Friday. I didn't go to the second page yet. Another thing we can go ahead and do, if you're still doing your examples, that's cool. But I am now going to go back and get all of my subject and verbs, because I didn't get more than the first two there. So we know, once again, it always starts out with the T or cross. This red's not as bright as the first one I had, but that's okay. And if you're doing this with me as I do it, you should get done maybe it's a little bit after me. And notice every sentence, subject, verb, subject, verb. So in your diagram, you always start out with a T or cross for your subject and verb. Then it gets a little crazy. All right, so I got all those. Let me get all of my complements. And I remember the complements could be direct objects. They also could be predicate nominatives, predicate adjectives. Right here, we'll get deep into this later on, but this is like an infinitive phrase, but it's acting like a direct object. How do I know? Because of that shape. That's that same shape for direct object. See? So I'm going to leave the rest of that alone because it's acting like it, but we'll do an infinitive in another color in just a minute. We have this gerund phrase acting like a direct object. All right, I have all of those complements. Let's get our dangling modifiers. So anything dangling below the horizontal that's not a prepositional phrase and that's not an indirect object, I'm going to use purple for my notes. I'm going to go ahead and get this infinitive. And notice it does look like the preposition, like how the preposition was in blue. Maybe I should do it in a different color just for teaching's sake. Remember, if you did not, it is okay. Got some cool colors there to choose from. You don't have to have this many different colors, but if it helps you, by all means do so. And I like using different colors, and students of the past that did DGP in 6th, 7th, and some for 8th grade, they were like, oh, Miss Timmis, I actually understand it now. And sometimes it's just knowing how to use the notes. So that's what we're doing. We're making our notes easy to use. Notes on our notes. Because they have all the answers. And no point in having all these answers if we don't know how to use them. I'm just getting the rest of my modifiers that are dangling. Make sure I didn't miss any up there. Nope. I'm going to get this noun and direct address as well. I like that blue I had a minute ago. But I don't know where it is. It's okay. We're going to still make it stand out. And notice the noun and direct address, that's who you're speaking to, is separate from the sentence, just like the interjection is separate from the sentence. All right, I had some more modifiers I didn't finish. Oh, this is a participle. Let me do that participle in that blue also. The blue just like I did for gerunds and infinitives. Now, once again, if you already jumped ahead and you did a different color, it is okay. It is not a right or wrong color to use. All right, so now I'm done with this. If you need to have your teacher pause so you can get this, and then maybe a teacher can set a timer for like a minute or two, and then after that break, scroll down. So here's a moment to pause. All right, scrolling down. Okay, and I'll get down to the bottom in just a minute. And a good place to pause again, maybe set a timer for another minute or two to make sure you have made the colors on the lines for your annotations of Friday's notes on page 1 of Friday. All right, I'll pause. Okay, scrolling to the very bottom of Friday's first page just to make sure you have that. I'll pause again. This time let's do 1 minute because you should have it. If you don't, maybe we can make these videos available for you later. I'll pause though. Okay, so now let's go to the second page of Friday. I'm not highlighting anything on here. This is just talking about when you have compound parts. So usually when you're using conjunctions and things like that, you can still see the subject verb. Okay, I lied. I don't lie often, I'm sorry. I am going to do just subject verb because we need to know we always start with subject and verb, okay? I'm not doing the rest of it though with all the other colors. If you choose to, that is your business. It will help you if you need it, but it'll be a while before we really get into compound parts, I think, if I recall. So I'm going to do it just here, and as we go on through the year, I will explain further. Okay? Let's see, you have compound subjects here. All right, if I go down to the next part, this is talking about clauses and all that. Once again, I'd rather do this when we get to it because it can get confusing. Okay, so we are pretty much done with Friday's notes. If you missed anything, just raise your hand so that we can clear that up and see where the confusion may be. If you have it all, awesome, great, thank you.